Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson is the first book of the Malazan Book of the Fallen book series. I've heard a lot of things about this book series as a Canadian author. I'm Canadian. Also, there's 10 books in the series, so it's not something to take lightly, but each of the books are sort of standalone, so it's not like a Wheel of Time situation where you need to read them all in order, but I'm going to read them all in order. So this first book is about the Malazan Empire. There's a bloody coup in the beginning of the book. We have a new empress in charge of the Malazan Empire. They have most of the continents and they are invading. They have most of the assets of the old empire at their disposal, from mages to soldiers to things like that. And it's a really sprawling epic. There's a lot of characters. There's literally like at least 20. Seriously. Let's see here. So 3 or 4 mages for the Malazan Empire. And then you've got the bridge burners. They're like a squad of soldiers. There's like 10 of those guys. Then there's Imperial Command soldiers. There's 10 of those in the part of the higher upper echelons of the Malazan Empire. And you've got a few others, some smaller people. Then they got people in the Darujistan, which is the city that Malazan wants to conquer. There's like a group of like small-time criminals and thieves and assassins. And there's like at least 20 smaller characters there. And then you've got other characters in this floating moon palace. They're Tist Andi. They're like a race of immortal beings, or not immortal, but they live a long time. And there's like 4 or 5 of those guys too. So you might get a little oh man, there's more. Yeah, there's a few more lower people, you know, like messengers and sub-commanders, things like that. And you know, there are also gods that basically dip their finger into the world of the mortals. So there's a lot of characters. Yeah, there's at least 20 main characters, and none of them get a lot of character development, but that's okay. I think the writer and his friend wanted to make this world for Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, but they decided, hey, why don't we take this and turn it into a book series instead? So that's why this book seems a little bit more plot driven than character driven, because it's mostly about all the different kinds of jobs that people do there. You got soldiers, you got mercenaries, you got saboteurs, you got thieves, you got assassins, you've got mages of different kinds, you've got, you know, beasts that have powers, you've got, like, you know, all sorts of these people with their own skill sets. You got politicians, you know, you got different, a lot of politicking, you know, cat and mouse, spying on each other in this book, not without action. Overall, though, I enjoyed this book. It interested me just because of the sheer scope of it. I did not like the third act, though. There's a lot of just random stuff just thrown in there. First, there's like this great twist, and you're like, oh, interesting. And then there's just like more stuff happening, and just kind of last minute stuff kind of just thrown in there, and you're kind of like, throws you for a lurch, you know, because you're reaching the last 50 pages, and all of a sudden they're introducing these elements, and you're like, what? And then, yeah. Overall, though, I did enjoy the characters. There's a lot of them, but I liked the whole sort of, kind of felt like a Greek inspired myths. You know, you got characters that are just trying to do their own thing, and then you've got gods that are sort of influencing people by granting them blessings or killing them. Or, you know, I really like that aspect of, you know, gods interfering in the world of man, because it adds this sort of like, you know, higher sort of purpose, kind of like Stargate SG-1, you know, the ascended beings. So there are ascended beings in this book too, and they can be killed. And I really like that extra layer of, you know, fantasy, and there's a lot of action and stuff going on. It's a grimdark, so a little bit of violent, but also enjoyable. Yeah, just the third act had a little bit too many elements I didn't enjoy, and they also hyped up something that didn't really pan out. And overall, I mean, if they don't return to these characters, I'll be a little disappointed, because they sort of set up a sort of thing going on in the future. But I will continue reading the series. It's really interesting. I do enjoy fantasy, and this one was good enough. So I give Gardens of the Moon a 3.5 out of 5.